Hello, good morning. It's Tuesday, and gonna do some French pressing. You heard me. So, boy, I tell you, this golden honey, it has gone the distance. It has probably been my favorite. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna do about 40 grams of coffee, and then I'm going to do 600 grams of water in this thing because
I am thirsty, and it is fruit punch, and it is delicious.
I got my water heating up because today we're going to do a French press, which takes a little bit longer. So let's get this started. I've put this on a medium setting. We got about a 20 here on the Encore. We'll see how much coffee we get out. Does feel like a lot. Oof. Floaty bits everywhere. Got about 40 out. That's good. Perfect. Let's do a little bit of a swirl there. All right. We're going to do the 2-spoon method. For those of you who don't know what that is, we'll talk about it right now while the water's heating. A bit longer to go. What we're gonna do is we're gonna pour in 600 grams of water, and then we're gonna wait about 4 minutes and let that steep up. And then what's gonna happen is at the top is a little crust is gonna form of the coffee that didn't quite settle down. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this spoon and I'm gonna stir it up. And then I'm gonna let those bits fall to the bottom. And what we're gonna have left is we're going to have a bunch of stuff that is unwilling to join all of its friends at the bottom of the French press here. I'm going to scoop all those out and we're going to throw them down the drain. And then we're going to let it sit for another 5 minutes. So this might be about a 10-minute brew. When it comes to these French presses, it's more of a luxury kind of thing. So it's leisurely. It's like I got 15 minutes to kill. I'm just going to let this steep for 10, and then, we'll pour it out and we'll sip the coffee and it'll be great. It's not a percolation thing where it's ready when you get up. It's not even a pour over thing where you're pouring everything over and it takes about 4 minutes maybe to draw down on a good cup of coffee. This is definitely more of a leisurely stroll down coffee lane. So you want to take your time. You want to make sure everything, kind of gels. You want to get out any terrible bits. We're not putting the lid on until the very end. And I'm very glad that I got this see-through one so that we can kind of show the process here, because we're not putting this on until the end, and then we're not pressing the coffee. So in essence, we're not French pressing. We're French filtering, because we're going to set this right on top and then we're going to use it as a strainer. And one of the reasons why, and I learned this, and it's a little bit longer. To me, it's very interesting. What happens is when you drop this down in and leave it on top, it just becomes a filter on top of the water and the coffee. When you press it down, it creates a vortex at the bottom of the cup here. And all of that debris that we got to settle swirls back up, and a lot of that will pass through and around this strainer, because as you can see, it is not the straightest thing in the world. Normally that's not a bad thing. When it comes to coffee, it can be a bad thing. All right. So we're gonna go for our 600 grams of water. I'm gonna try to clean up the sides here a little bit from where all the chaff kind of got off. Work my way around. At 100 grams, and I'll try not to knock anything off here. And this is just a straight pour. There's no need to be fancy. There's no need to dance around too much. You want to get everything wet, but we're just going for you do want to get everything wet, but we're just basically going for a nice solid. I did zero that out, right? I hope I did. About 600, 611, that's pretty good. We'll lose a lot of that water as the coffee soaks it up and spits it back out. But we're gonna wait about 4 minutes here. Yep. Thank you. And we'll be back in just a couple. We're about 2.5 minutes in, and boy, does this smells Smells so good. You can kind of see here at the top, there's a lot of crust that's forming. I'll move the camera down so we can watch everything fall as I do a little stir. That's going to be really fun. Seeing stuff like this is really exciting and fun, and helps you learn what exactly is happening while your coffee is brewing. And I always thought that was kind of cool. I like the taller pitcher, but to be honest, I'm never going to fill that thing up because the stovetop can that I've got, it's not going to hold more than 700 grams. And that thing will hold like a full liter of water. I'm never going to fill that up. I didn't fill this up. I mean, with 600 grams, I didn't fill this up. So, I mean, it's nice to have something in glass that, you can kind of see. You can see the process. You can watch it get darker. You can watch it get richer. You can watch all of the little parts happen, which I think is a lot of fun. So we're about 3, almost 4 minutes. We got about 20 seconds here. And then we're going to move the camera down. I'm going to hold it as steady as possible, and hopefully we can catch some of the coffee bits falling down. There's no swirl. There's no little fancy shake. It's just, we're just stirring the top of the coffee for a couple of seconds, breaking up the crust, and we're ready. So let's take a look down here. As you can see there, the floaty bits kind of went down to the bottom. There were quite a few more floaty bits than I thought there should be. Maybe I should have stirred it at the beginning. None of the videos that I've seen said, pour the water in, give it a stir, or, and this is also very possible, I completely missed that part. So basically what we're left at the top here with is a little bit of foam, and all of the bits that are going to be left over. So what we can do is, we don't really need the scale anymore. We know how much weight we've got. How many times have I said that to myself? And what we're going to do is, we're going to come over here, clean the spoon off, and we're going to see what we can get out of here. The foam is not so much the problem. The problem is the coffee grounds, and you can kind of see them right there. The bigger, tougher coffee grounds that have decided they're not going to play ball. So we're going to take them out of the equation. Because like I said, we're not pushing this down. We are straining it. Which, it is a little confusing, because if you push down on this French press, you are basically straining it. But like I said, all of the nice little chunks that have fallen to the bottom will stir themselves back up, and you will get stuff in your coffee. And in this case, you should see little to none of that. That's a big chunky boy. Whew. Goodness. Where did that come from? The chunky boy. Where did that boy stuff come from? No idea where it came from. It just suddenly entered into a lot of people's vernacular, and now it's entered into mine, which is a little annoying. I hate I don't know where things come from. It seems to be happening more and more often lately. See, there's some big pieces right there that are just kind of, and we're waiting. This is part of the waiting process, because we want to wait another 5 minutes. That was a big one. To let this steep even more. Once we've broken that crust at the top, now we've got all of the coffee down at the bottom doing all of its work. See, big piece right there at the top. Isn't that funny? Decided it was not going to fall down. And I think that might be because it's part of the outside husk. It might be part of it. Yeah, okay, that should be good enough. All right, so we did that for a couple of minutes here. We'll go for until about 9. I'm going to try not to stir this up as much as I humanly can. We're going to go until about 9, and then we're going to pour out some coffee. See you in a minute. So here in just a few more seconds, we're going to pour ourselves out a nice cup of coffee. Again, this is the Alchemia. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. from a wonderful farm in Puerto Rico. This is the gold honey sun-dried, which again, the gold honey is a process where they take most of the fruit off of the bean, but then they let the bean basically ferment in the paste that's left when they tear the bean apart, and then it ferments, and then it becomes a honey consistency, and that's when they wash it and then dry it and then roast it. So I'm sure that's a fascinating process to watch. That would be really cool. Anyhow, we are 9 minutes and 30 seconds. Let's see how this turns out. All right, so we're gonna put the top on, and I'm gonna take you back down to eye level again, I guess navel level. I'm gonna show you what I'm gonna do here. We're just gonna take this down and we're just gonna put it on top of the coffee, just where it meets. We don't wanna press down through. We just want it to sit there because we're straining the coffee. We're not pressing through the coffee, because what would happen is if I press down and through here, all the coffee that's down here would be sucked up and find its way shooting past all of this strainer stuff. If we pour it, we are more likely to strain more out, because that will be the whole process. The process will be straining rather than pressing. So let's go over here to the cup, and we will pour ourselves some coffee. Plus, when you tip it, it all kind of stays flat down there rather than, I mean, you can look at the sides here. Look, there's none that have clung to the side of the coffee. You are getting a little bit right here, right there on the filter, but none of it has clung to the side, which means it's only come up to about here as I was tipping, which is perfect. And look at this giant cup of coffee that I now have. It's a wonderful process, and once you get the hang of it, it seems like, if you have the time, it seems like an unbeatable way of making coffee. If you like French presses, which, some people don't, and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. Enjoy the coffee the way you want to enjoy it. I just found this to be a really fun method of doing the coffee. And you can kind of press it down just a little bit to meet the bottom again. Don't press through. And, by the time we're finished with this, we'll get a little bit of a harder hit down here at coffee, if that's what you're looking for. But and this doesn't seem, it's glass, so it doesn't seem to retain the heat as much as the big metal can that's sitting over there that I use as a French press. Ooh, such a wonderful, fruity, kind of sweet, acidic little hit there. There's a lot more going on. It's definitely a ton sweeter in the French press, which is not bad. And it's not like a sugar sweet as much as it's like a fruity kind of sweet, a citrus kind of kick. Well, maybe not citrus. It's just like a raspberry. You know how it kind of hits you around the sides of the tongue? It's definitely a very fruity vibed berry type taste coming out of this coffee prepared this way. And it's nice and medium dark. Absolutely delicious. I really didn't have anything to complain about today. I did want to make mention that the video I did on Clayton's box, and for those who don't know, Clayton is a dear friend of mine who we unfortunately lost back in like 1999, and his parents put a bunch of his stuff in a box, and that box sat for years and years and years. And then his sister, Jamie, who had acquired the box, said, I don't know what to do with this. It's just going to sit and rot. Do you want it? And I'm like, sure. She says, it's all of his Star Trek stuff. And I'm like, okay. Well, not all of it, but a lot of his books, some VHS tapes, and that sort of thing. And so I'm like, sure. And it is heavy. It is a heavy, big, chunky box, full of things. And I know it's a little over 30 minutes long, but if you break it up into chunks, it'll definitely be worth it. Maybe I can figure out how to do it in segments. I've never fiddled with that on YouTube, but maybe I can give that a shot. But if you get some time, today, play it in the background. Get to know our friend Clayton in the best way possible through his hobbies. Just go through the nostalgia with me. There's a couple things I found that just floored me. A couple of really fun things, but in essence, it's definitely a wonderful little time capsule, a great trip down memory lane. It's just one of those emotional things where you're happy to see things and you're sad to think about them. So I offer that up to you on my channel. It's available as of 10 o'clock this morning. It'll never be removed, so you don't have to worry about that. Anywho, thank you so much for tuning in this morning. Again, if you ever get a chance to get this coffee on the website, and again, I'll link the website down below. I'll do it until, they tell me to stop, which I don't know if they would or not. But you should order from that website if you get a chance. It's not that expensive. The shipping is not that expensive, depending on, where you're sitting. And if you look at it and you say, boy, that seems expensive, then it is expensive. If you look at it and you say, oh, that's reasonable, then it's reasonable. It's kind of how this world works. Just if you get a chance, definitely try this. Try their various varieties. They have that tea that's really nice. Give it a try. And definitely do it in a French press using the method that I used here, which was, and I'll review, I did 40 grams of coffee. I did 600 grams of boiling water. I let it sit for 4 minutes. I then stirred it, breaking up the crust that had formed on top of it, allowing the bits to fall to the bottom, scooping out the bits that stayed on the top just to get them out of the road, because you put it on a surface, they're more likely to get up and through the filter because they're closer to the filter, and the rushing water coming out will probably drive them out, and you don't want that in your coffee. And then wait for another 5 minutes, I guess 5 minutes, and then put the plunger on the top of the coffee, don't push through, and then just pour it into your favorite cup and enjoy the deliciousness. That is French pressed coffee. Have a great morning. Have a great day. We will talk to you tomorrow. Hopefully I'll have some more surprises throughout the week, definitely next week. Talk to you later. Bye.